Here's a question for you. What's the most memorable ad you've ever eaten? Sounds wild, right? But with Open Fortune, that's exactly the kind of impact they're making. Imagine biting into your meal and finding a message from brands like Steak.com, Algorand, and Duolingo inside your fortune cookie. With partnerships over 100,000 restaurants globally, Open Fortune is turning the most unexpected place into a powerful advertising platform that people can't forget. Appreciate Open Fortune sponsoring this and making this possible. Now let's jump into today's episode with Sebastian Serrano, co-founder and CEO of Ripio. Welcome to CMO Weekly, the podcast that uncovers the untold stories of marketers' most influential leaders. Today's guest is Sebastian Serrano, co-founder and CEO of Ripio, Latin America's leading blockchain company in the fintech ecosystem. With over a decade of experience in the tech and fintech sectors, Sebastian's journey from co-founding Devs AR, a professional web development and design team, to launching Ripio has positioned him as a true trailblazer in the blockchain world. His vision and leadership have played a key role in shaping Ripio into the powerhouse it is today, driving innovation and expanding the reach of blockchain technology across Latin America. So without further ado, Sebastian, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Thank you for coming in. Doing well. Yourself?
Yeah, stoked to have you. I'm curious, right? Tell me about your first entrepreneurial itch, right? Was it something that was always in your blood?
I did things since young age. Like I with some other people in high school build an internet service provider. I have always loved technology, but and I think like I have a tendency to go towards building things that I think they need to exist, and that is something that I enjoy. I actually enjoy a lot building things. Like I could be doing more investing at this point in my life, but I really like to operate the company, and like I don't see myself not being a maker.
Sure. Tell me about your first impressions and introduction to Web3. And, how was it demystified for you?
I've been so long in crypto that there was no Web3 when I started. That was not a term. And the only meaningful thing was Bitcoin at the time. So before starting Ripio, I had a software company, a software factory that we work with a lot of startups in the Silicon Valley, and I'm from Argentina. Like our team was there, and it was at the time, like this was 2012. It was really hard to charge clients, and it was like taxes were terrible on international transactions. The systems were like really crappy, and we were losing a lot of money into these transactions. I was looking for an alternative, and I stumbled upon Bitcoin. I tested the transactions. Initially, did not understood that well the technology, or like didn't even knew that there was like 21 million coins limit, but it worked. And then over the months, I started to learn it, dig into it, and it was like, my God, I need to work on this thing. A few months later, I started the company in April 2013. And at the time, it was like, so first, like it solved an issue for me. Then as an Argentinian, it hit home into like, this is like sound money. Like it's like, seeing so many crises that destroy our currency because of the abuse of the systems and our institutions. I saw that this technology is like really important for the world, and I started working on it. This was kind of like my introduction first to Bitcoin, and then started to evolve and got into being what is today. And I saw very early Ethereum, and that was like really interesting to see it evolve, and like we were early into the ecosystem. We tried to build like a credit network before DeFi. So it's been like a long journey. But I have always believed on this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about it a little bit with the economy, but what inspired you to dive into the blockchain and fintech space, especially in Latin America?
So initially, our initial attempt was through payments, and we had some experience in payments. And then when we saw Bitcoin, also was the paper says an electronic cash system, and so we got into that, and then early on we started to see that there was a lack of access to of options to being able to buy and sell initially Bitcoin and then the other cryptos, and that was like taking us like on every step like into finding like initially you start with a niche, and then we started to explore what people needed and like what had demand. That took us into like finding that, well, like people need a way to access crypto. So, and it's kind of like in the name of the company. So Ripio in Spanish means gravel, and I grew up in Patagonia, so most of the roads are made of gravel, are made of Ripio. In Spanish will be Camino de Ripio. That's kind of like the metaphor of the company. We're making roads to access to crypto, and that is how like that has been in the DNA of the company to build infrastructure to get access to crypto. And that initially was like launching a wallet. Like it's like we were the first wallet in Argentina, and then we grew across Latam. A few years after, we acquired an exchange in Brazil, and we now operate all across Latin America. But also the offering started to change too. Like then, like other like crypto started super retail, and initially like who needed it was like retail investors or like people looking to find an edge against inflation. But then it became extremely institutional. Like it started to become more institutionalized. Stable coins appear, and that changed a lot the business. Like today, most of our volume is stable coins. 80% of it is stable coin usage. And then we started to build more B2B services, and started to see that like we believe like crypto is going to be everywhere, and Web3 is going to be everywhere. Like every bank is going to integrate, every fintech, every e-commerce. So recently, like the last few years, a lot of the focus have been on B2B and helping other companies integrate and offer it to their clients. And that's have been like the focus of the last few years has been through that. And that has given us a lot of growth. And today we, through our platform, we serve over 20 million users across Latin America. And that is mostly through B2B now.
Oh, wow. That's insane. And blockchain technology is still often misunderstood by the general public. How do you educate potential customers, stakeholders, businesses on its benefits and practical applications?
So in the region, there are different needs, and every country has kind of like it's unique on itself. So in Argentina, initially, like the country went through so many crises. Like it has had a major crisis every 10 years. It has had major devaluations of the currency. Inflation has been super high across all our history. Like the company has a decade now, and every year of the company we had high inflation. Today, even today that is considered like low inflation for Argentinian standards, is still over 30% annual, which is like would be insane in the US to have that kind of inflation levels. So initially, like in Argentina and through our initial years was mostly through selling the benefits of Bitcoin and like how it grew, it was as a system, and how like and the potential and the opportunity that means all to buy Bitcoin early. Then the last few years like has changed a bit with the appearance of stablecoins. That has changed like the approach. Like for a new user, an stablecoin is a lot more friendly as a first step into crypto. For someone that is looking to hedge against inflation, and a stablecoin is a proxy to $2, which is better to local currencies. And then in other regions like Mexico, a lot of remittances are processed with crypto. So a lot of our there is a lot of volume in Mexico, mostly institutional, that goes through crypto to do remittances. And then like the Brazilian user is more looking for opportunities than safety. So it's like a bit of a different approach to other countries, and it does have a very well functioning financial system. So the Brazilian is more looking into things to buy that they could appreciate, and it's looking, and the Brazilian user is looking a lot more for opportunities in the market. So it's a bit different in every major country, but there is an underlying of like Bitcoin has a strong narrative today, and stablecoins has so much product market fit that it works so much better for international commerce. It is a pillar into DeFi. So there is a lot of volume through stablecoins that have a lot of velocity.
Sure. That's really, really interesting. I didn't expect that as somebody who's somewhat outside of the industry. You've been leading this company for over 10 years, and you've led it through incredible growth and innovation. What have some of the biggest challenges been that you faced?
Well, like the companies have a ton of challenges, every company, and many are common. I will say like the thing that is unique to crypto, which is challenging to running a business, it is that it's very cyclical, and it has like very strong cycles, and that requires you, especially as during short periods, there is a lot of growth, and then there is like corrections, that very strong corrections, and that makes like scaling up and scaling down. There is a lot of uncertainty into the growth of the company and how to manage that. And I think like we've been good into adjusting really fast into the different market conditions. And now we're doing a lot of focus into like have less of our business tie to speculation. That makes it more predictable. So that is common for crypto. Crypto has like this challenge for most businesses into how you handle a lot of traction and a lot of demand in like very short periods of time, and then it like the sentiment changes, and there is a big correction, and you have 10% of the volume that you had like a month ago. but it's not that extreme, but like it does swing a lot, and that is challenging into
You need
operating.
a strong stomach for sure.
Yes, it does require, being in crypto requires a bigger stomach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious from a marketing perspective, right? We usually have marketers on, we have C-suites on the show. What have you found to work the best to acquire new customers?
So the it depends a lot on like it has it has been evolving. I think like something that happens with marketing is that you always need to find new new techniques and new channels to acquire users, and they get exhausted over time. But there are but there are a few things that you had to work long term that are pillars into be able to have something sustainable in an industry that has um, uh, that is new, that is considered risky, that has risks. Building, investing and building trust into the brand is something that long term has been something that we have capitalized. So being over time, we have built a good reputation, and like also growing older has been something that has been good to get more institutional clients, and I say it as a company, like a company that has been around for longer. That is something that that helps over time. And then there are things that that you had to be experimenting all the time, like in the past, like I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago, like doing referrals campaigns was something that worked for us that no longer really works.
Have you guys done
Yeah,
anything like very innovative?
we have done very early when like NFTs and AI started to appear. We did some campaigns with generative art that had traction. We are now like experimenting in a few things around AI that are for now cool experiments. We the ones that have worked the best is when you are able to combine economic aspects, like with some token or like some something that you build up like a system. That is something like very unique to crypto. Like if you are able to like things with play to earn, or like this but that is like changing all the time. It's kind of like in video games, the meta is always moving. I think like that is something that is common to, and there are some like things that you had I think like in marketing there are things that you have to be working all the time, like branding effort is something that you have to do very constant, and it pays back in long periods of time, and uh, like investing in the brand, it takes really long. And then at the same time you have to be doing things that are more opportunistic, that are a lot about like the moment, and also like you had to be inventing new channels. The issue with that is that when you find something, like today we live in a world like everybody's watching, and everything gets exhausted very quickly. So we did, for example, like in the past we had Um, we still do, but like it has been changing over time. Like we had a very strong effort in content marketing that pay a lot. That now that is changing, and like it's been that efforts are being redirected into other things. But it is something that you like. Marketing is something that you had to be innovating all the time.
Absolutely. That's what's so fun about it. Well, let's hit our quick question round and wrap this one up. All right.
All right.
Before we get started with the quick question round, just going to give a big shout out to Open Fortune for making this possible. First question: person you'd most want to sit down to dinner with?
David Deutsch.
Favorite city in the world?
It's a good question. I don't have one.
Is it okay to sleep with socks on?
No.
Favorite movie?
Brazil, from Terry Gilliam.
Best spot to eat in Argentina?
I own a restaurant called Mercado de Liniers, so I had to say that.
There you go. In 40 years from now, what will people be nostalgic for?
It's gonna change so much. I don't know if we're gonna be alive in 40 years.
Who knows?
Let's say, who knows? Who knows? What are we gonna be nostalgic of? Gonna have to think about it. I don't know.
Top 3 CEOs right now?
I'm not gonna be very original into that. Clearly Elon Musk has done some, like, he has redefined like the level of risk that someone can take in a company. I really like the leadership team of Mercado Libre, which is like a regional company that does as a partner, and they do really well. And I think like they are on a league on their own. And in also thinking in the region too, I think like Nubank, which is neobank, maybe the best neobank on the world, is they started also in Brazil. David Vélez. I think they have done some amazing work.
Absolutely. Worst advice you've ever been given?
Hard to think about it. I think there is. I will say it's not an advice from someone, but I think there is there is a common advice that is say that feedback should be given in private, and the negative feedback, and you should praise people in public. I think there is something about like giving feedback in group settings that if you do it correctly, the entire group learns, and it can be done in a way like it's super hard, but and I think like that is why move into being private. But like if you are able to give feedback without hurting the person and embarrassing it in public, and the entire group can learn. And the reason that we give feedback in private and not in a public setting is because when we were in tribes, if you like your life depended on being part of the tribe, and not and risking and the risk of being outside of the tribe could mean dying, and that acceptance was super important for our ancestors. But today in the world that we live, that no one is gonna come eat you, no one is gonna eat you at your job. But and the group can really learn into like from mistakes of others.
Absolutely. And then best advice?
Raise all the money you can, don't spend it.
There you go. And last one, where can we catch you in 10 years?
Still working.
There you go. Well, Sebastian, thanks for coming on, man. That was great.
Thank you. Bye.